Hello, welcome to our presentation. And this day we have the pleasure to give some insights and share with you some knowledge about flipped classrooms. To create this presentation, we visited different sources. We also created an article talking in detail about the strategy flipped classrooms. This presentation is gonna be held by Ronaldo Gonzalez, Silken Aparicio, and my person, Luis Felipe Hernandez. I hope you enjoy this presentation. Please stick to the end.
We based our research article on the article prepared by the author San Namaciandost. In this article, he used many ideas from previous research and also cited many authors that we used to prepare our article. So today we're going to present some of the ideas that were presented in this article and provide some of our own insights about this topic, and lastly provide to you some useful apps that you can use for the flipped classroom method. So as an introduction, the flipped classroom method is an approach that switches the traditional learning process by introducing new material or topics outside of the classroom. So when the students are going to learn something new, they have the opportunity to review content at their own pace. And it allows teachers to have more time in the class for activities that can promote a better learning and active participation. Okay, so to have a better idea to understand what is the flipped classroom model, we can compare it to the traditional classroom methods. So, in a traditional classroom, teachers will usually lecture in class. They will be in front of the class and explain the topics and the material to the students. In the flipped classroom, the content is usually studied at home with different materials that the teachers provide the students so they can check it at home. In the traditional classroom, students practice at home alone. In the flipped classroom, class time is for active learning. So they already saw the material, they already studied some of them, and then when they come to the class, we start practicing actively, and they can ask questions and solve any doubt that they have in the classroom. And in the traditional classroom, we have a limited interaction time because, as I mentioned before, the teacher explains, and then the rest of the time usually is just to make the activity, and sometimes they don't have enough time to solve any doubt or ask questions. While in a flipped classroom, there is a more teacher-student interaction since we have more time to spend in the classroom in actively participating and doing activities about the topic. We have more time to spend with the students and interact with them. Okay, so in this article, we also see some of the ideas of different authors on how uh, important was it to create new models or new methods for teaching and learning English in today's world. So, as stated by Ash in 2012, some of the ideas or some of the reasons why traditional methods fall short is because of, first, distracted learners. As we know, modern students lose valuable class time due to unrelated activities. Today, we have many students that have ADHD, different conditions, and also they have many other activities that they do in the classroom. They are talking, they are doing something from another subject. So when they are in the classroom learning, they get distracted easily. So they lose valuable time because, as we know, we have a specific time to teach something in the classroom. Also, we have ineffective lectures. And there is proof that direct lecture-based instructions shows poor results with today's students. And the last one is that passive learning. Students are no longer content with passive learning. They like to participate. They like to be involved in what is happening. So usually they will start asking like, "What do we have to do today?" Because they don't want to listen that much to the teacher. They maybe want to listen to the topic, a quick explanation, and then they want to actively participate in learning, doing the activity, doing an exercise, doing something practical. So these are some of the reasons why the traditional method is falling short, and the need for a new method like flipped classroom is being important in today's education.
You might be wondering what are some of the benefits that you can get from applying this strategy into your own classrooms. As you know, flipped classroom is an strategy that empowers students and also creates a dynamic learning environment. And also, this approach redefines the traditional roles, as you know. So I'll be talking about four different benefits that you can get from this approach. Fostering ownership and motivation is the first benefit that you and your students can get from this approach. And you may wondering, how is this possible? Well, as you know, before class, your students can access to the material that you already uploaded to XY platform that you're using with them. Materials such as videos, articles, it could be even tutorials. So that time that you used to spend in your classes explaining difficult concepts, now you can use it to your advantage and develop other skills in your students, such as critical thinking. Since your students come already prepared, they come with more motivation to put into practice what they already learned. This increases autonomy also because your students have control of their own pace. They can access anytime, anywhere to your material as long as they have, of course, internet connection. This allows your students to take active participation in your classes, and this increases also the engagement of your students during your classes. Another benefit that you can get from flipped classrooms is that flipped classroom promote active collaboration. So you remember earlier that I mentioned that your students come prepared to your classes. Well, remember that this time that you used to spend in long lectures, you can use this time now for group work, discussion, and peer interaction with your students. Your students can work together to apply what they learn by solving problems, doing role plays, and completing different language tasks. This interactive environment builds communication skills which are very essential when it comes to learning language. It also creates a sense of community and encourages peer support. Last but not least is flexible learning. So, flexible learning is another big advantage. In a flip model, students can watch videos or read materials anytime, anywhere. It could be at home, on the bus, or even during a break. They can pause, they can rewind, or review as many times as they need. Isn't this great? Um, this is especially helpful for students who learn at different speeds or need extra time with new content. Also, remember that this reduces classroom pressure and makes learning more personalized.
I'm going to continue with the challenges of the flipped classroom. So let's start with one of the most common challenges, which is technology access. The flipped classroom depends heavily on digital tools, but not all students have stable internet or the right devices at home, especially in low income communities. This digital divide creates unfair learning gaps where some students fall behind simply because they can't access the material. It's not about ability, it's about resources, and that's a major concern raised by Rahimi et al. Another key issue is how students manage their learning outside the classroom. In flipped models, learners are expected to prepare before the class by watching videos or maybe reading materials. But in many EFL contexts, students are used to the teacher guiding every step, so they may lack the study habits and time management skills needed to succeed. When they skip the pre class work, they can't fully engage in the class activities, and that weakens the whole learning process. Another big challenge is the extra work that teachers have to do. So in a flipped classroom, teachers don't just have to explain things, but they also need to record videos, they need to prepare online resources, and also use different digital tools. So all of this takes a lot of time and effort. If teachers aren't trained or don't have enough time, they can become stressed. It can become stressful. Some teachers might even stop using this flipped model because it feels like too much to handle. One last challenge is that we still don't know enough about how well flip models work, like in all situations. For example, most studies are done with small groups or in certain countries, so it's hard to say if the results can apply everywhere. Also, in many EFL classrooms, students are used to the teacher doing most of the talking. So when they try the flip model, they might not feel comfortable or understand what to do. So that's why more research is needed, especially in different countries and also in classroom settings.
As a critical reflection about our research article, we can conclude that while the flipped classroom model presents some challenges like technology access, teacher planning and training, and cultural resistance, it remains a promising approach for improving English learning, especially in our country's public education system. By gradually introducing this method with adapted resources and thoughtful planning, we can help students and teachers embrace a more active, independent, and meaningful learning experience that can truly make a difference.
Now, let's see the different apps that can be used for flipped classrooms.
So now for our next section in this presentation, we are going to present to you the top three digital tools that we chose for flipped classroom teaching. So you're going to discover in this part how these powerful digital platforms or apps can transform your language classroom into a more interactive, student-centered learning environment. Okay, the first app or platform that we chose for our flipped classroom method is the Edpuzzle platform. This is an interactive video learning platform where you can easily create beautiful interactive videos for your students. You can turn YouTube or teacher made videos into an interactive lesson with embedded quizzes. We can also keep track of the students' progress by monitoring them, monitoring the completion and their understanding and engagement with detailed analytics that the platform provides to teachers. And lastly, we have that it helps in having a more self-paced learning. Students learn at their own pace with comprehension checks before the class.
So I think Google Classroom is one of the most used platforms for flip learning, and it's easy to see why. So first of all, it works as a central hub where everything is kept in one place. So teachers can post announcements, assignments, links, videos, and any other resource that students need. It also connects easily with other tools like Edpuzzle, Quizzes, YouTube, Google Docs. So it's very easy and convenient to add videos, quizzes, worksheets. One feature I really liked is the option to give private feedback, private comments. So teachers can comment directly on students' work. So you can also see who turn in the assignments and offer support more personally.
Another interactive app that can be used within this approach is Quizzes. Quizzes is one of my favorites because of the engagement and user friendly characteristics that it has. Quizzes come with different features, such as game based quizzes with multiple choice, open ended questions, and audio questions. Quizzes can be used live or assigned as a homework, and also quizzes giving immediate feedback to your students and to you because you can monitor how your students are doing while performing XY activity. Some of the pedagogical benefits that you can get from quizzes is that it makes content fun, it makes content engaging. Also, quizzes encourages your students for repetition. Since quizzes come with different modes, you can use the mastery mode. So your students, let's suppose you're explaining indefinite articles. Your students can perform a quiz several times until they master it. And quizzes provides real-time feedback on student understanding. Some implementation strategy, it could be maybe after presenting a grammar video to your students, you can create a quiz and you can leave it as homework or you can use it as a warm up. Thank you so much. Here's a simple strategy that you can use implementing the three apps we have mentioned before. First, you can use Edpuzzle to assign a video to your students. If you want to review content, then use quizzes. There, you can gamify a quiz for your students. If you want to conduct a follow up, you can use Google Classroom activities. Here, you can follow up with speaking or writing activities. To provide feedback, you can use Google Classroom. Here, you can give personal guidance and show your students what are the next steps to follow.
Okay, now let's look at some of the main benefits of using digital tools in flipped classroom. First, they help students learn better. For example, when we use videos with real life situations, students improve their listening, their vocabulary, and their grammar because they see language in context. Second, um, these tools support students' independence. Why? Because they can watch the materials at their own pace and they feel more in control of their learning. And finally, they help with participation and responsibility. Many platforms include interactive parts like quizzes or questions, so students stay more focused and involved. To finish, these are the sources we use in our presentation and the article. They include research by experts like Bergman and Sams, who helped develop the flipped classroom model, and Rahimi et al., who discussed the challenges in EFL settings. So these works gave us valuable insight in both the pros and cons of using this method in language learning. So thank you so much.